What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ and Buck with you. Buck, we are a week from today. I'm getting on a plane, heading out to Indy. It is here, man. It's hard to believe. The Combine is right around the corner. Super Bowl's in the rearview mirror, and all the teams that sucked are all of a sudden optimistic. They're going to get everything right in free agency. They're going to nail the draft, and they're going to have a turnaround like the New England Patriots had this last year.
Well, DJ, I think now more than ever, people are optimistic that those one-year turnarounds can happen. You think about the Jaguars, the Patriots, other teams have been able to get new coaches and kind of get it done right away. If you hit free agency, the draft, build the culture right, there's no reason why your team that was out can't be in next season.
I love the offseason. And it's kind of, I think, just because of our background as scouts, like the season ends. I don't know how many, I still get it all the time. I'm sure you get it as well. It's like, hey, so that must be nice. Everything kind of slow down for you now that the season's over. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
That's not how it works.
Well, I'll tell you, I am excited. I don't know if I had posted the picture. I think you'd seen it, but I had that glass desk that just exploded. I think by looking back on, I think I just had too much weight on it. I think there was too much weight on it.
It just decided to explode.
Yeah, it exploded in the middle of the night. I woke up and came out, and my desk was gone. Buck, I'm sitting down right now, but I got the up desk, or it's not the brand, but it's the desk that goes up where you can stand up. Oh man, what a game changer, man!
Oh yeah, next you're gonna stand up. You're gonna have the walking treadmill up under it, so you can be able to.
That's the next move.
You can get my steps in. Yeah, you get the steps in while you watching tape.
I think McAfee's onto something. McAfee's like the only guy I can think of in the media who just made it a staple that I'm gonna stand up the whole show. It's so much better.
Well, it's so much better. Well, I can tell you, in terms of being able to like lock in and focus, for me, a lot of times like standing up and kind of moving around is better. Sitting stationary is the hardest thing for me to sit for an hour and be locked in. So yeah, like I think that is great. You hear the legendary stories of how Bill Belichick used to watch tape while he was on.
I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it like at All-Star games on the treadmill doing work.
Like being able to lock in and focus. I mean, you can't waste a minute. Got to make sure you're getting it all.
That's crazy. But no, that's a big addition. So I've been knocking out players left and right. I've got the conference call coming up this week, Thursday. So we'll get all those questions answered. We'll have some, we'll have a bunch more content coming your way as we kind of get into the Combine and out of the Combine. I know, there's a lot of excitement, I would say, about two positions. I've got a new mock draft comes out tomorrow, Buck. What do we got fresh here? We got your top fives are out there right now.
Top fives are out. I won't do another refresher until after the Combine, which is great, but still knocking out these guys. And some of the conversations that you hear about players, like I can't wait to dive into the cluster busters. Like,
there's some good ones.
It's one thing we've always talked about, like, hey, let's just kind of get everyone in the neighborhood, then let's get them in the right house. And we have a lot of people that we shepherded into the neighborhood, but then trying to figure out the right houses for them, it's going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, no, I'll give you a sneak peek on the mock draft, by the way. I just put one thing out there, and I hope it ends up, I put it in the blurb. We'll see if it ends up, if Dan keeps this thing in there. But I just want to just because you got to have a little bit of fun. And so there wasn't really the picks that, the player team fit that I got super excited about. But this one I thought of when I was kind of going through this process. And I thought, man, Dallas Cowboys need to solve their secondary issues, right? Just need to get better in the back end. So tell me if this wouldn't be a home run. After they, made the moves last year, Micah Parsons goes out. They bring in Quinnen Williams, who played really well for him. What if I told you that the secondary, though, that if they took McCoy from Tennessee with their first pick, who is a legit candidate to be the best corner in the draft? I think it's him and Delane. I don't know how. I think you had McCoy.
Yeah,
I had Delane. It's very close. And speaking of clusters, they're going to travel together. But so you got arguably the best corner in the draft, or right there at the best corner in the draft at 12. Would you trade pick 20 for Trent McDuffie?
Ooh, easy.
Yes. I do that all day, every day.
Easy. And if I
think about your secondary, all of a sudden, you look back there, and all of a sudden, bam, we got two legit corners.
Yeah, the bigger thing would be, why would the Kansas City Chiefs want to move off of a guy who's played at a high level?
They're on the salary cap side of things. They're a little bit up against it, and this is a team that's proven over the years they
can find it.
They'll move on from guys too. I mean, they've done it. Yeah, Frank Clark, Tyreek Hill. We're going to get to Tyreek Hill in just a second. But they've moved on from guys. So and he's going to get a lot of money. I mean, I don't know what the contract looks like there. I would imagine he's going to want to be the highest paid corner in the league. He's played at such a high level, at a consistent level. He can play inside. He can play outside.
Yeah.
He can tackle. Character stuff's off the charts. Super Bowl champion. I mean, to me, the Cowboys, I would at least call Kansas City on that one. Yeah, I'd say the same thing for the Rams. The Rams got 2 1s. I'd call on McDuffie if I was the Rams.
Yeah, that sounds like a $30 million cornerback. When you just talk about those things, like being able to play inside, outside, being able to tackle, being able to cover it with a variety of ways and techniques. You're in high cotton, as they say, when it comes to how much that's going to cost.
Yeah, so you see that in the mock draft, anyways. That'll get some attention there. People go, "Hey, he knows something." Actually, I don't know anything. I'm just looking at it, trying to put some ideas out there, some puzzle pieces together. But we do have a fun opportunity today to do our first little joint mock. So we're going to do the top 10. We'll piggyback. We'll go back and forth. And we'll rip through kind of a quick top 10 mock. We haven't done that yet. Those are always fun exercises. But before we do that, it's time for Hot or Not, brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. And the hot news right now is Tyreek Hill. The aforementioned Tyreek Hill has been let go. Dolphins move on from Bradley Chubb. They move on from Tyreek Hill. Dead cap on Hill, a little over 28 million. Dead cap on Chubb, a little over 23 million. So overall right now, as of today, this is a 98 million in dead cap for the Dolphins. But I'll get your take on it before I offer my opinion on it.
Hey, look, I think the best time to do these things is when you are jumping into first year. Yep. Clean house, get everything out. Everyone knows exactly what it is. Before we even talk about the money, it's about resetting the culture. And if you're Jeff Hafley, and I'm sure you walked around the building, you talked to things or whatever, and you're trying to assess, okay, who are the guys that are our guys? Like Chris Peterson said on our program, the OKGs, the guys that we want to build around or whatever. You want to make sure you have those guys. And then when it comes to the money thing and the age thing, just understanding that this is going to be more like the Green Bay model. It's going to be a younger team. It's going to be a draft and develop team. And so the guys that are inching towards or are over 30 years old, it's going to be hard for them to find a spot, particularly when we're trying to do a rebuild.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. If you're going to do this, do it now. Don't babysit a player for a year and try and squeeze the last little drop out of it. This is a new era. You're going to get a little grace in terms of this is not your roster yet. So whatever happens in this first year, it's not going to be completely pinned on you. Don't wait this thing out. Just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. I'm sure they're going to do the same thing with Tua, whether or not they could find a trade partner, which may be difficult, or you just release him. But let's eat all this money now. And then we can, the Broncos have shown, man, if you can find a good young quarterback, you can survive through this thing with all this dead money.
Well, I was going to say that. I think the Broncos have kind of given you a blueprint. Just because you are living in the abyss when it comes to dead cap does not mean that your team cannot be competitive or a playoff team. Back-to-back years, the Broncos were able to make it with eons of money in dead cap space from the Russell Wilson deal. And so it puts a little more onus on the coaches. It puts more on your scouts to see if you can find some younger draft developmental guys that can play and play right away. But there are ways to be done. It's not we're giving up on the 2026 season because we're casting off all these guys.
I was trying to think of other players who would be in this class of player. But tell me if I'm overstating this, because I was thinking about this with Tyreek Hill. I do think we can take a second and appreciate how good this guy was, how dominant he was. And we'll see. He has a brutal injury that he had. I've read some talking about maybe potential nerve damage. I don't know what the extent of it is, but you had a dislocation. It doesn't sound great. So, hopefully he can find another team and he can come back and be close to what he was. But when he was at his peak, Buck, how many players can you say that changed the game? Like he changed defensive structure and coverage. Like he introduced, we were doing that Thursday game against the Buffalo Bills. And we just said the Buffalo Bills are content to lose this football game with the safeties in the parking lot and just saying, you're going to nickel and dime us. And sure enough, the Chiefs did nickel and dime their way to victory in that game. But they were like, no, we're just playing. He introduced this shell coverage across the league and putting a lid on things.
Well, absolutely, because there were so many explosive plays early in his career. And I'm going to give Andy Reid a ton of credit. Tyreek Hill coming out of like Oklahoma State and all that, wherever he came, his final college he was a punt returner, running back project that they took. They take him first year, he's the gadget guy. The next year, and this was a bit of a gamble, they put him in the starting lineup and basically made him the number one wide receiver. Travis Kelce on one side, him on the other. And they did all these combo route combinations out of 3-by-1 with Travis Kelce on the backside, Tyreek Hill as a speed at 3. And it worked. And when you think about the speed element, I feel like so many teams have been trying to chase the speed element at wide receiver. The difference in Tyreek Hill was not only the stop-start quickness, but the way that he is built. He's built like a running back, ran through tackles. His speed, you felt every time. And then he became a much better route runner in time. Yeah, he absolutely changed the game. And I think people will look fondly back at those days, primarily with the Kansas City Chiefs, when he and Travis Kelce made that offense impossible to stop.
Yeah, no, it was Mahomes at his peak powers along with those guys. But yeah, look, we'll see where he ends up landing. The Dolphins just choose to rip the Band-Aid off here as they move on from Tyreek Hill, as well as Bradley Chubb. Just didn't work out for him there with him as well. That was this week's Hot or Not segment, brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Store more and do more with your data. Try them for free at wasabi.com. All right, Buck, I want to get to this conversation, and we'll get to this mock draft here in a little bit. But we're talking with Gavin, our producer, and he brought up a great point. You know, he's just kind of a curious thought there. And he was like, how does it change when you're going through the draft meetings and you kind of get your initial board set up in December, and then all of a sudden we've got, darn near half the league's got a new coordinator now on one side of the ball or the other side of the ball. We've got all these new head coaches. So how does that impact how you stack everything when you bring in new voices? You're going to run new systems. What are they looking for in players? How does that all come together? And I can just tell you from the teams that I've talked to over the years that have gone through this process, including on this cycle, and I've been a part of teams where we've done this as well, where you get a new coordinator come in, you'll have him come in and present to the scouts of guys that he really likes on your roster. Like, he's going to help. This is what we think of how we can utilize the players that we have. Maybe you use this guy this way. We might utilize him more this way, which means we need to we're missing this. To kind of do what we need to do, we do need this type of a player. It doesn't change, drastically the ingredients you look for in terms of the makeup and, kind of the shell of the player. But it can say, hey, we want to be a gap. We really want to be a gap run team. Like, we want to establish a physical identity. We want to be a duo team. We want to be downhill. We need to dislodge people and dent the defense. And we've got kind of an outside zone group here. So we can kind of do some of that at the as we're going. But man, I'd like to find a little bigger, a little more powerful guys. Like the Rams, think what they did and how they changed their offense.
No, absolutely.
Coaches are constantly communicating and kind of helping you create that menu. And the last thing you want to do as a GM is draft somebody the coaches don't like or don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. And we'll use the secondary because it's an easy tell. It's like going from a team that is a bump and run team to a team that's going to be more zone. And the type of corners that you look for are different. There's a different skill set that you're coveting when it comes to a zone guy. You're looking at eyes and footwork and awareness. The tackling is a big part of it, but ball skills go to the top of the list. And so it's the little tweaks that you make. As you talked about, the core characteristics of the person and player stay the same. Now, as stylistically, we would prefer a little this more than that. And sometimes it depends on the coordinator and how much adaptability does he have in his bag when it comes to being able to change and tweak his system to fit the best personnel. Because the best coordinators, they have a system, but they also have some flexibility within a system to build it around the players.
Yeah, you can do it. It's a different looking offense and how you do it. No question. But it does need to be a conversation. I don't think it's just, here's the players, we give them to you and you got to make it work. Like, that's not how it goes. It won't be a sustainable model if you do that, because coaches want certain things. And if it becomes an ego battle in terms of, I like this player, you don't, doesn't matter, I got the juice, it'll never work. At some point, you have to find the middle ground on the players that you both agree upon. And those are the guys that you have to select. It can also be simple fact of, hey, maybe this guy hasn't had success with you guys previously. I'm coming in. I like this player coming into the draft. I have a vision for exactly how to unlock this player and get the most out of him. So you guys in the personnel department might have been, okay, this was a bust and we got to find somebody to replace this guy. No. I know what to do with him. Receiver, you guys, to me, I've got options to use him. I can use him. He's a stretch vertical guy. I'm going to have him, I'm going to give him some bubbles. I'm going to give him a reverse. I can utilize his speed, maybe not a full route tree guy, but he fits. I can use him. So it can kind of inform a survival for some players that you thought maybe weren't going to make it.
Absolutely. And, you would like to have a coaching staff that will maximize all 53 guys on the roster, that you'll find a way to create various roles for them. And just in looking at the Seattle Seahawks in their Super Bowl, they went to a dime defense and they had all those different DBs. And I think the interesting thing about them, everybody in their secondary, with the exception of Nick Emmanuel, is a former cornerback. They have all played cornerback, but now you got these cornerbacks that are playing safety, and the versatility that you have. To me, it's about coaches finding ways to tap into what players do really, really well, give them a chance to shine.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how these spots get put together, and something to keep an eye on as we get towards free agency, which is going to precede the draft. Keep an eye on teams and coaches that have previous relationship with players. They've coached them before. Absolutely. They can not only fit their system, they can teach their system. So with all these new faces, I think trying to find some familiarity to bring in there makes a lot of sense as well.
And if you look at the Patriots and the number of guys that Mike Vrabel, his guys that had some tie to him in Tennessee, that knew what he expected, not only from a schematic standpoint, but culturally, those guys can be the voices that can kind of help you get the culture going in the right way. So you will see some connections, some legacy, some history play a part in some of these free agent decisions that we'll see in a few weeks.
All right, Buck. Let's rock and roll here. I'm gonna actually choose first because that's the
makes it easy.
It's the chalk.
Make it easy. Yes.
And I just did a mock draft, and I know what I did it to. So I'm curious to see what you're gonna do it to.
Okay.
I switched it up a little bit. I want to see if we're dancing to the same tune here.
I certainly hope you didn't switch like I'm switching.
Okay. So first pick, I've got the Vegas. We go Mendoza. They need the quarterback. Look, this is a one quarterback draft for me for the most part. We'll see what Ty Simpson can do. I think he's got the most kind of writing from now till the draft that could help himself. And the early tape was good before he got hurt, but teams are going to have to decide whether or not he's worth a first round pick. But right now, it looks like there's a clear top quarterback, and this is a team desperate need of a quarterback. Mendoza makes too much sense for Vegas. I don't think they pass on him with the first pick.
No, I don't think they pass. I think the thing that sealed it for me was Kubiak being the named a head coach. We've talked about this system being the system that we would prefer for every quarterback to play in, because it's one we've seen turn average players into Pro Bowlers into MVPs. And for a guy like Mendoza, the systematic approach is going to work. The run game, the play action, all those things I think fit his skill set. So the Raiders should be excited to take him. But with the Jets, I think the developments in recent weeks are going to impact who they selected number 2. Aaron Glenn taking over the defense, the entire staff changing on offense and defense. I think it changes who they go. For the entire time I've talked about Arvell Reese being the pick here.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can take a project right now at number 2. I'm going to give the Jets David Bailey from Texas Tech. I'm going to give them a pass rusher. Because I just think about what Aaron Glenn had in Detroit, and they're not the same player, but Aiden Hutchinson was the cornerstone of their rebuilding effort. They got no turnovers, no interceptions last year, and we know the best way to impact the quarterback is with a pass rush, tips and overthrows. That comes from David Bailey being able to pressure the passer. Welcome to Gotham. David Bailey is a Jet.
Well, I don't want to ruin my mock draft tomorrow, but
go ahead.
If you like,
I think this is interesting. Yes.
If you like David Bailey, you'll like my mock draft tomorrow, because I went through the same exercise, right? And I got to do my top 50s. I'll put that together on Friday after this call. So again, we talk about guys kind of riding together, but I just keep going back, and I finished up all the offensive tackles, and I tweeted it out, Buck. I said, man, I think one of the things all these offensive tackles have in common is they got absolutely smashed by Bailey.
I saw that.
Going through that tape.
I saw that. Yeah.
He cooked a lot of dudes, man. And it is, to me, he's got the elite get off. Like, it is elite. And where I think there's still development in terms of the power, he knows how to rush. He knows he's got a feel for it. He's good with his hands. He's got a spin. He can beat you inside with a counter. So it's not just the speed. But to me, we used to always be somewhat skeptical about Brian Burns, because he wasn't a power guy. It was just pure speed.
It is so crazy you brought that up.
Yeah.
I literally just wrote in my notebook yesterday when I did a rewatch.
Yeah.
That's the comparison.
Yeah. Juice.
That's the comparison that I did not use. Yeah. And because it was hard for me with Brian Burns.
Yeah.
And to me, that's who this player reminds me of.
Yeah. And I saw Odafe Owe when he came over to the Chargers, had 7 sacks, after he got there, and also had 3 in the playoff game and 2 forced fumbles against the Patriots. So that's the style. Like now, like a rugged point of attack. Now I think Reese, when he's out there, he's a lot more heavy-handed, and Reese has it all there. I mean, he can rush with power. He just doesn't have the production to play there as much. There's a rawness to him. He doesn't have the same natural feel as a rusher. So I just think with the Jets, you get a fastball that plays day one, and your turnover issue, I think he helps solve that because of the pressure he's going to be able to generate. I think it's a little less guesswork, and for a team that's in bad straits, in dire straits, I think you're probably trying to remove guesswork. So I'm with you on that. I sense I can definitely get on board with seeing that with the second overall pick.
Yeah, no, I think that is more likely to happen now that everything has kind of been settled. Aaron Glenn has to put more on his plate as the play caller. He's going to try and recreate what he had in Detroit. And so doubling down on another pass rusher, even though they have plenty of pass rushers, I don't think you can have enough in this league.
Yeah, I get to Arizona, and again, I'm this is going to kind of look very similar to my actual mock draft that comes out tomorrow, because this is the same exercise I went through, because I had these same 2 top picks. Eventually, hopefully, we deviate. But when I looked at Arizona, Buck, and I looked at, okay, we could go get an edge rusher. That would be nice. Clean that up a little bit. This offense was not good. 31st in rushing yards per game, 28th in sacks allowed, 30th in QB pressures. Defensively, 29th in points per game, 28th in sacks. They need help all over the place. We don't know what's going to go on with Kyler Murray. I just think, to me, we always talk about it's hard to be a bad team with a good offensive line.
Yeah.
I went in that direction, and Maui Noah out of Miami can plug right in at right tackle. Both the top tackles to me in this draft are, played right tackle in college. So to me, it's an easy pick there. Paris Johnson, you got to keep him going on the left side, but now you've got a chance to have, 2 athletic guys who give you a nice bookends there. And I'm taking into account this is Nick Bosa and the San Francisco 49ers. This is the Jared Verse and all that group with the Rams, and the team we just saw hoist the Lombardi Trophy with their waves of dudes. Like, it's a wrong division to have a bad offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that division certainly is one where you can be tested on the edges. And you talk about a player who athletically can get it done. And I'm going to be honest, DJ, like this draft and why I love this offensive tackle class, you have your pick. I mean, there's some natural right tackles, and we used to devalue right tackles. But I think the way people have changed their defense, you got to have a guy that can not only be a mauler brawler at the point of attack, but has the feet to shadow box on the edge. And so, look, he can do that. It's going to help them, regardless of what their quarterback situation. They have to fix the edges of their offensive line.
Yeah, that's why I went in that direction. All right, you're up with Tennessee, bud.
Okay, so now I believe success leaves clues. And I think about Robert Saleh taking over. And the player that we talked about being a project at 2 is a better fit for the Tennessee Titans. That's Arvell Reese. And the reason why I think this can be true, think about who the San Francisco Niners took last year. Mykal Williams on the edge, a little rugged, a little bit of a project, but they found a way to have success. In Reese, and talking to people around their program, like, look, I believe he's going to have to sit in one position early and then grow into being that Micah Parsons presence that they may want. I think it's very easy for you to pick, hey, either he's going to be an edge player or he's going to be an inside linebacker. I would put him on the edge. He's fast, he's physical, he's feisty. And in Saleh, we have seen he has touched a lot of good pass rushers throughout his time, and they all have kind of turned the goal. I'm going to go with Arvell Reese being a guy that the Tennessee Titans can build around.
Yep. I like that one. I ended up in my latest mock draft. I ended up having this conversation with myself about the same thing. The same thing I had at 2, where I went with a little more production with Bailey over Reese. And again, I love Reese. But then I got to 4, and I thought, okay, if you're the Tennessee Titans and you're Robert Saleh and you're trying to establish an identity, well, I think Reese gives you that fastball. But if you could make an argument, even though he's not the perfect prospect in terms of the length, but when you have Jeffrey Simmons and you potentially had Ruben Bain lined up next to him, you all of a sudden look up and you're like, this is kind of a bully. This is a little bit of a bully.
Well, because the one thing that you get with Bain, you can never question the effort. He is an all-day sucker when it comes to being able to do it. And you may like this. My comparison for Ruben Bain was Dante Fowler in terms of like just kind of a rugged player that's going to be able play at the point of attack. And yeah, Tennessee's going to have some options. People are going to talk about the wide receiver, but I think there's so many wide receivers. One, they'll get one if they don't get in free agency. There's so many you can get in the second and third round. To me, you don't pass up someone that can help you on the defensive front if you're Tennessee.
No, I like that. All right, I want to get you my next pick here, and I want to ask you how you envision this, because this is a conversation that's taking place in the room. All right, so I'm the Giants. I want to help my quarterback. Jackson Dart took him last year, played well. Malik Neighbors goes down. Hopefully he comes back. We'll see how that rehab looks. But you get him back. You get Scadaboo back. They've got some decent pieces along the offensive line. They could continue to add there. But I want to help them out with a wideout. So I have, for me, the top wideout is Lemon out of USC. And he's so physical and tough, work in the middle of the field, day one slot. Like, I think he can't play outside, but I think he's just going to catch 100 balls in the slot every year. And it's just a ball winner. I love him. But if I'm looking for a compliment to Malik Neighbors, I ended up going with Carnell Tate. Just because we get a bigger size, bigger body, put him on the outside. We can get him vertical, and the Neighbors can use his quickness and tear people apart underneath. I thought Neighbors, while he's a more explosive Lemon, I think there's a little more similarity there. I think there's more of a difference, a separation, and go back to our building a basketball team. I think Tate gives him a different style of receiver there. So I'm going to go Tate at 5.
So here's why I like the Carnell Tate pick at this situation. And the one thing that I believe all decision makers are going to have the conversation they're going to have with Tate, he's a guy who played a number 2 role at Ohio State. Make no mistake, Jeremiah Smith is the number 1. Well, now what we're doing is we're asking him to do what we've seen him do at Ohio State. It's not as much a projection saying, hey, you can go from being a number 2 in college to being a number 1 in the pros. To me, we're setting him up for success because we're asking him to be the guy that is Robin to the Batman that Malik Neighbors is always going to be for the New York Giants.
Yeah, I just think all of a sudden you look up and John Harbaugh's got a fun, watchable team here. As they've got a defensive line that's in pretty good shape. You need to get a corner. There's some other things you need. There's obviously other pieces you're not picking up here without other needs. But I think I think this first pick, I would love for this first pick to be able to help out Jackson Dart. I think that would get that accomplished.
All right, so now we're the Cleveland Browns. We have Todd Monken coming over. We got to deal with this offense. We got to deal with this AFC North that is in transition. But you can't do anything if you don't have an offensive line. And so you took him. I would go with the third pick with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to take Spencer Fano with the 6 picks for the Cleveland Browns. And I know everyone is like, hey, we got to get a playmaker and all that. But there's no need in having a playmaker if the quarterback isn't protected. So we got to make sure that we get some protection. We have to be able to run the football because in spite of all the things that people talk about Todd Monken, he wants to run the ball. He wants to be balanced enough to be able to get it done. So give me a big body up front. I think that's the only way that the Browns can go.
Yeah, that's why I had him taken in this latest mock draft as well. I actually had him doubling up on tackles, and I won't tell you who it was, but I'm taking another tackle as well. They got all five starters are free agents. They need to replace the whole offensive line. Now, DeJuan Jones is big, talented tackle, and who's hasn't been able to stay healthy. If somehow he's out there and you believe in him, you could always kick one of the 2 tackles they were to take in my mock draft into guard for a year or 2 if you needed to. But to me, I think the offensive line has to be where they go. I'd be nervous about them just hoping that both those top 2 tackles are, one of them falls to you. It's a nightmare scenario for them if they don't get one of the top 2 tackles with where they're picking.
Oh, absolutely.
How I look at it.
I mean, that's a problem.
All right, I get to Washington here. Washington coming up at pick number 7. I'm going to go with Bain. This is a team you got to have some pass rush here. Last year, defensively, this team was 32nd in total yards per game allowed. How many teams in the NFL, Buck, are there?
There'll be 32.
31st in turnovers and red zone defense. Yeah, pretty bad. So there's lots of places you can go here, but I just think Bain, he kind of fits. He fits what Dan Quinn looks for in players.
Remember who I compared him to? I compared him to Dante Fowler, whereas Dan Quinn got the most success.
Yeah, had him twice.
Had him twice. And so I think it is a great fit for them. The Commanders do need to get better at the point of attack. There will be some conversation about them eventually having to get a wide receiver. Deebo Samuel is a free agent. You have Terry McLaurin. You have some other people. Are they going to get another playmaker for Daniels? But defensively, man, they have no chance if they can't stop people.
No doubt. All right, you are up with New Orleans. This is an interesting one.
Oh, it's not interesting. It depends on if you're about the fun, and I'm about the fun. If we're going to say that Tyler Shutt is our quarterback, then we need to make sure we give him everything that we can to support him. And I think Jeremiah Love would be the perfect fit in this situation. I know we have Alvin Kamara in the building. What better way to show the young guy how to be a pro than to have him watch Alvin Kamara for a little bit before he takes over? And Jeremiah Love, you get the total package: speed, burst, explosiveness. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can play in the dot. He can play sidecar in the shotgun. There's not much that he can't do. And then you look at the production over time. He just gives you everything: back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, has 70 career catches. I mean, like, there's just a lot to love about this playmaker from Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, he's an outstanding player. I was watching, I can't remember the team it was, but I was going through watching somebody else on the other side of the ball, and I saw his one-handed catch out of the backfield again. And I was like, whoa. Okay.
Just really good. Just a really good player. And I know people talk about running back in the top 10, but Bijan Robinson was taken there. The last handful of guys that were selected within the top 10 have all been exactly what we thought they would be. And I think his talent is worthy of being a top 10 selection.
All right. I'm up with the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is a spot where you've got some free agency issues in the secondary they could look to address. You took the running back, so that there's only one running back that's in consideration here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take Mekhi Lemon. He's just too good of a football player, and someone who, if you think of as Kelsey ages out, now we'll see if he comes back or not. Every route that Kelsey runs, Mekhi Lemon can run those same routes just in the slot. You know, when you flex out the tight end, they already have a whole system and he's so instinctive and he can work in traffic. Like, Mahomes is going to trust him. He's going to get open. He's going to catch everything that comes his way. He also gives you the added bonus of just the physicality and toughness, you know, after the catch. To me, he's like, and it's the same school, ironically. Now they got the best out of Juju for a little bit there. Yeah. Like, this is a much better version of that, that type of player.
They have to get that part right. Man, they have been swinging and missing at wide receivers for a long time in terms of just they haven't been able to get that production. Now, more than ever, it is on them to find a way to do it, because look, we don't know if Pat Mahomes is going to be able to make the magical plays outside the pocket this year coming back off the ACL. He's still going to be a really, really good player, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do what he's done to uncover those wideouts. Now the premium has to be on those guys being able to win on their own. Mekhi Lemon is someone that can win. And as you talked about earlier, slot, outside, he can do it. He also brings some juice. So I'm a big fan.
You're up with Cincinnati here.
Well, here's what I know about the Cincinnati Bengals. And this has been true for as long as Mike Brown has been the owner of the team. They are not going to allow a good Big Ten player to go. And they're certainly not going to allow a Buckeye to leave right from up under their noses. Caleb Downs is the pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to say this, their defense has never recovered from the loss of Jesse Bates. When they let Jesse Bates leave as a free agent, they lost not only the traffic cop in the middle, the playmaker. When I look at Caleb Downs, he is all those things. High IQ player, has some versatility, instincts, awareness, really good tackler. But the thing that they need those leadership qualities at that position as well. To me, it is the right pick for them because he fits the void that they've had since Bates departed.
Yeah, I ended up doing the same thing, and the one that I just did. I looked at it for a long time, though, because same school, Styles, and I thought, okay, Styles at the linebacker position gives you some more. There's a rare quality to him, just in terms of the size, the length, the speed, impacting the game. I'm like, okay, who impacts the game more between these two? And then I just thought, okay, well, I also know Downs in terms of the communication, the leadership, the steadiness. This group in Cincinnati needs a calming effect, and I think he provides that. And I think there's a case, I don't know that the stat sheet shows all of his ability. I don't know the testing is going to show all of his value. He's a little bit of a tricky one for me, to be honest with you. Downs is in terms of the evaluation, because I hear him talked about like he's this all-time
great
player. I don't see that on the tape. But I see a very dependable, reliable, steady, solid player who, when you talk to people around there, just talk about, his some of his value doesn't necessarily always show up unless you know what he's doing in terms of the communicating, the leading, the organizing, getting that whole group together.
The funny thing in my notes I wrote down, not the same size, but he reminds me a lot of Buda Baker. And I just, in terms of like having known people that coach Buda, they talked about him being an IQ guy that could sit at the table, guy could do a bunch of different things. To me, when I hear people talk about Downs and then I watch him on tape, I could see him being a player like Buda Baker that does a lot. And some of it is flashy, some of it is not. But I feel like he's going to be a glue guy in that back end, and they're desperate to be able to have someone that can hold it together.
Yeah, well, there you go, man. We just knocked out a little top 10 back and forth mock draft. It is interesting, man. I try to get some new names when we get to the back half of this, just to throw some other names and ideas in there. But
give me a name. Give me a new name.
Well, I mean, I coming off of the Senior Bowl, I put Malachi Fields in there. Late in the first round. To a team that could be looking for a little size at the wide receiver position. That was one. I can't remember if I had Concepcion in there or not, but he's got such juice and the return ability. And there's a team that may or may not played in the Super Bowl that could potentially lose a receiver with some speed and return ability. So maybe looking to just kind of recapture that in one play.
How about that? That is a good one. So I like Casey Concepcion. I'm interesting to hear because I know you have what we call a draft crush on Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I'm excited to see
I had him going way up there.
He's
going higher than. Yeah.
All I'm gonna say
everybody
is
looked at me last time and said you're crazy because I think I had him going 18 or somewhere around there. I moved him up. I think this, and talking to some people around the league, and I've been a big fan since I watched this guy. And who knows? Safeties are weird. Eamon Wari went in the second round. We saw Kyle Phillips.
I think that helps
went a little
Kyle
later.
Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton. Sorry, Kyle Hamilton went a little later. Derwin went later. But if you look at the teams playing with those big nickels, those three teams, those three players, Eamon Wari, Derwin James, and Hamilton, if you're looking for that type of player in that profile, that's him.
DJ, so I studied him again over the course of the weekend after we had a conversation off air a little bit about the safeties. And so I went back and looked at him again, and I wrote down like, man, super long and rangy, like super size. He has not found a hit that he doesn't like when it comes to being able to lay people out, but he's unique in terms of being able to be a big hitter with also having ball skills. You don't have that. And the thing that you talk about, the big safeties and how that's a big part of what people are doing, and how I heard Leslie Frazier talk about like, hey, everyone is going to positionless ball, and you got to have guys that can do both. The best thing that is going to help Emmanuel McNeil Warren is going to be what Nick Emmanuel did when he had the opportunity to get on the field for the Seahawks. When people look at the versatility and the production, it's a copycat league. Everyone is going to want to have someone that can give you that ability to jump into your dime package, your nickel package with another safety and win.
Yeah. And the other one, I'll give you another clue here, another hint. I had another safety, and I think I had him going in the last one as well, which I haven't seen him in any of these other mock drafts, but Thieneman, the safety from Oregon. When you go back and watch his stuff against –
That's my crush.
Is he your guy?
That's my crush.
I got him going in the top 20. I think he's going to run fast. I don't think – when you go back, which I had a team tell me, go back and watch, I think it was 23, Purdue. We had like 6 picks, and he is, as you like to say – yes, as you like to say, he's like the star on top of the Christmas tree. A little angel on top of the Christmas tree, dead middle of the field, making plays outside the numbers on the sideline. And now we see him at Oregon. He can play in the nickel. He can cover and do all that stuff. Like, DJ, I think there's going to be value for him.
I am on the first thing I wrote, MLB center fielder, his range and ball skills. And I went back to Purdue. That's where it came from. Great nose for the ball, anticipation, awareness, ball skills, tackler, can blitz. And I know safety used to be a position that was devalued, but I think we are seeing the value increase because the guys that can do a little bit of everything, the Swiss Army knives, they're coveted. Man, it's my guy. You found him.
No, yeah, I'm in on him. Buck, Harrison Smith retired, right? Anyways, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. There's no rules that say you have to replace a white safety with a white safety.
No, not at all.
There's not an NFL rule.
Not at all. Harrison fit. Great fit, high IQ, great player up there in the Big Ten. They saw him a lot. They know him.
Yeah, no question. That sounds weird. Oregon up there in the Big Ten. I guess still got to get used to that, buddy.
I was thinking more the Purdue thing, but yeah, Oregon.
By the way, I can't wait. I'm going to finish up here in the next couple of days and be done. Kind of the first layer of all these combine guys, have them done. But man, I got a lot of guys that are going to travel together, a lot of buckets I'm excited to really sort out as we get beyond the combine, get all that latest information and sort these guys out. But man, have you noticed as I have, like, I feel like I love the fact we get so much good on good. Like these expanded playoffs.
Yeah.
Like Mesidor, for example. Akeem Mesidor was hell on wheels in the playoffs. And I can see him week after week after week against good players.
Well, look, not only Mesidor, but let's talk about the conversation that people were having about Bain before the playoffs. And then you see 3 dominant games and you're like, oh, well, maybe the arm length and those things. Yeah. Better games, good on good competition. Better for the evaluation of the player when you participate those. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And I know there's a proposal out there, I guess, going to 24 teams.
I actually
like a lot. But when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, you get rid of the championship games? Like, I kind of
like all of that. And I would say this, DJ, like big school, little school. I would say power 4s, group of 5s, like split them up.
Yeah.
Let's see, because the bowl games, if you do it with the 24, the bowl games are null and void. So you might as well just have 2 playoffs running concurrently so we can have the group of 5 champ, the power 4 champ, and everyone can celebrate. We're in Southern California. Hey, it's nothing wrong with being a 3A champ and a 2A champ and a 1. Like the rings are all the same.
Yeah, man, no question. Well, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching a lot of the good on good that you get a chance to see. And I've enjoyed watching guys. I was talking to a SEC coach the other day, and he brought up a great point. We were talking about transfers, and there was a player of his that I really liked, and I hadn't heard any buzz on him. And he was like, "Wow, he's transferred, several times." So some of these guys get a little bit lost through that process. And this is like more of a day 3 pick, but a player that I liked. And he said, he's like, we try and group these transfers into a couple different buckets. Like there's guys who are looking for money, like just want to make some more money. There's guys who are looking for playing time, haven't been getting the playing time they want, so looking for playing time. And there's guys who are looking to challenge themselves. And he said, we have found that the guys that have hit with us are the guys who keep going, who maybe started at a lower level and then got to maybe the Mountain West, or maybe then they're at a lower level, power 4 team, and whatever. Yeah. They're climbing the ladder of competition. And he said they've found success with those guys. And this was the profile of this particular player. But I found that was interesting, kind of breaking it up that way.
Well, so it's no different. We're baseball fans, so it's no different than earning your way up from rookie ball to A to AA to AAA to then you make it. Like you're looking at how they perform at each level. And if you dominate at the lower levels coming up, man, you feel really good about that player in a competitive environment. And you like the fact that he brings the chip on his shoulder because he is going to be like, I should have been here the entire time anyway. So let's go play.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, this has been a fun one. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. We will see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.